the Silver Dasher.
Morning. It's a Thursday. I'm in my car, but I'm not dashing, as you can tell from the getup. I am on the way to the vet with our kitties. It is time for their yearly checkup. They get their rabies shot, their flu vaccine. We're going to have Momo have his eye checked again. And then they get blood tests. We get blood tests every year to kind of, see if there's any issues between last year and this year. Basically a yearly checkup. This is about the only time we take our keys to the vet, except, if there's a problem like Momo did last week. So anyway, I appreciate everybody subscribing to the channel, and we just recently hit 100 subscribers. Woohoo! And lately there's been some questions and some statements made about why I'm not doing this, or what are you doing this for, and that type of thing, and where am I at and stuff like that. So while I'm on the way to the vet, I'm going to answer some of those questions the best I can. First of all, question came up, where do I live? Well, I live in a small town named Pell City, Alabama. It's about an hour east of Birmingham. When I mentioned close to a major metropolitan city, Birmingham it is. That's where I've worked my entire career as a senior software engineer, was in Birmingham. Now, answering that question will hopefully help you understand about my other strategies, about the other questions that came up with. To give you some idea, Pell City only has a population of 13,000 people. It's small. The DoorDash zone that I'm in is pretty big. In fact, basically it's like it's a stretch. It stretches practically 30 miles along I-20. And my DoorDash zone includes Pell City. The next town over is Riverside. And the next town, which is where I got my ticket, Lincoln, Alabama. My zone also covers parts of Talladega, hence you'll have referenced some upcoming videos about me going by Talladega, and hence why during race weekend it's pretty hectic out here. So now and since I decided to retire and started door dashing, I'm just doing this and getting my feet wet. So that's why I kind of stick around Pell City. Hence, I only do 2.5 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the afternoon, because that suits me to get started, because I'm not a young buck anymore, and I don't have the energy or the strength to hoof it like a lot of other younger door dashers do. So that brings up another question, and then actually a statement that came by that said from one user, says, basically it was along the line, I wouldn't do delivery driver, I would look for other temp work as a retiree. Well, I can respect that statement. I will tell you this, that after I was laid off, I tried for over a year to find another job in my field, including temporary work as a contractor. Nobody was hiring, and I know what contract work entails, because I used to work at other companies that we had contractors. Contractors were treated poorly, and they would dump a lot of work on them, pay them very little, and you get long hours and no benefits. So, but I was willing to entertain that while I was looking for a job, because as I say, beggars can't be choosers. Now, I did that. I looked for a job and contract job for over a year, and nobody's hiring. Or if I get interviewed, there's just a glutton of people my age in my profession that are out there who have lost their job. And I've talked to a couple of recruiters, and they said it's just a glutton of us old dinosaurs out there. So that's why I made the conscious decision to, after talking with my tax accountant who handles our retirement money, I asked him, what do other people do? Well, he says some other people do blogs, and some other did delivery driver. I said, and I even entertained being a bus driver. I even started I was researching learning my CDL license. But the more I thought about it, that it's still, even though you're off during the summer and you're off, in the afternoons, but you're still on schedule Monday through Friday, early in the morning, in the afternoon, and you have a break, but so the schedule wasn't really flexible. Then I looked into being a medical carrier. Well, that too is, you're still on a schedule or whatever, and you have no control. So that's why I saw this thing about the gig economy, Uber driving, food delivery. So I decided to give that a try. And when I started applying, I applied to DoorDash, I applied to Uber Eats, I also did, Walmart Spark, Amazon Flex. In fact, Amazon Flex was the first thing I was going to try. That's when I said, I can do deliveries like this, and I saw the videos how it looked, and said that should be interesting. I'm going to find out there's like a lot of these platforms, there's like 2-year waiting list, based on what I've seen on other YouTubers who are in the gig economy. So DoorDash and Uber Eats were the first ones I tried that said I can start right away. So I started with DoorDash first, and the zone that I live in was available because I found out there were a lot of zones around me that were quote unquote reserved. And what that meant was they already had enough drivers in that zone that you have to be a platinum driver in order to go into those zones. So I was just start fresh out. Luckily for me, the Pell City zone was not reserved, so that's how I got started. That was a learning curve and all that. That brings up the next question. And there's a lot of people who have asked, why are you taking these orders? You're underwater. You're taking terrible orders. Yeah, I understand that. And after watching several YouTube videos of other people doing this, I tried to do that. I tried to follow the rule, and in fact, there's some of the early videos I mentioned that I've canceled some really big ones. And the problem is, I'm in a market of only 13,000 people. I'm not a market with 1 million people or even 100,000 people. Like major cities. Where there's an abundance of people and restaurants. Of course, there's abundance of drivers, but there's abundance of offers. And that's why you can see all these YouTube videos of DoorDashers and other delivery drivers. They say, this is what you got to do. And they show on the video, oh, that's a bad one. Boom, decline. And you'll see their offers. They're just popping up second after second after second. That doesn't happen in my zone, in my area. So I did that for a while, and I was making less money than I am now. I was only averaging $50 a day. So I'm explaining in one of the videos about a lady that I used to be a grocery bagger in a military commissary, and she gave me some wisdom about always take, we carried out groceries, always take it out. If you get a quarter, if you think, but a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, you get $1. So basically, in my market, it is volume. Get as many as you can. Yeah, a lot of them are going to be crap. But if I can get as many as I can, a lot of those will be good paying, so that should compensate for the crappy ones. And I've been following that philosophy for 2-3 weeks, and I'm averaging $400 a week, usually on 4 days, 6 hours a day. Like I said, I'm only doing this part-time. This is not a full-time job for me. because I have other responsibilities and other things I have to do too. Now, if I was a young buck or somebody who's out there that doesn't have a job, for example, there's a fellow DoorDasher in our area. His name is Nick. He's a go-getter. He's a former truck driver. He DoorDashes every day for 8 to 12 hours, and he claimed to me he's got like over 14,000 lifetime deliveries. And he tells me he makes very good money. Well, yeah, it is what you put into it. And for me, being retired, I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One, to be active in retirement. Two, make some money, hopefully even more money, to help pay for some extra bills that we've acquired. And like I said before, you get back what you put into it. Now, granted, if I were to go into another zone, if I were to go into Birmingham, to give you an idea, Birmingham's an hour away. So that's 45 minutes away actually. 45 minutes there and 45 minutes that way. That's an hour and a half of me wasting every day just to get to the market. And the other problem is I'm diabetic, so I have to use the bathroom a lot. So it's just been very convenient that where I live, my house is very near the Gauntlet. Now, Pell City is very small, and so all the restaurants, fast food, and even the smaller, Chinese takeout and all that, are all on the main road that goes through Pell City. So that's what I call the Gauntlet. And the southern end of the Gauntlet is where I live near. It takes me 2 minutes to get into the area, the first restaurant. Sometimes that's why you see when I come out of my driveway, I'm slowly backing up. I pick up a Chick-fil-A order right away. That's because Chick-fil-A is only 2 minutes away from where I live. So, for me, that's a lot of convenience. So, that's why I decided to go, take every order. Now, one user suggested, why don't you go earn by time? I'm going to try that. I think I did that by accident one time, and that's annoying. So I went back to money per offer. So tomorrow, I'm going to try that both morning and lunch. I'm going to try earn by time, and from what I understand, it's $10 per hour plus tips. We'll see how well that works. So I understand people's concerns, or they're talking about, well, you shouldn't take those. You should. You're giving away free money, or you're doing it for free. Yeah, I can understand that. But here's another thing about the zone that I'm in. 90% of my customers are outside the city. They live there. It's rural, so it's on average 10 miles to every one of my customers. On average. There's very few people that live inside the city limits. There's a few neighborhoods and some apartment complexes, but it's 13,000 people. It's not that many people in the city. And plus, I'm competing with other drivers. I know at least 6 other drivers, that I've seen regularly. And I've seen a couple that come out of zones that come in. So, anyway. I do appreciate everybody's comments and statements. Please keep them coming, and I'm going to try to continue to answer your questions. And I'm going to try, if you make a suggestion that makes sense, or at least not too bad, I will tell you I'm going to try it like this, pay my time. Another thing that I'm going to do later this afternoon, I'm going to retry to do Uber Eats. Now, I may have to go to another closer into Birmingham, but I need to learn that to be a little bit more diversified. As you know, I got a ticket while I was door dashing. Well, when you get a ticket, that's you could potentially be deactivated. So I think I'm okay. This is my first ticket I've had in 20 years or more. So, but I recently went through background check. Now, I already had the background check for Uber Eats, but I finished the background check for Uber driving to people. Now, my wife does not want me to drive people. And I can understand. I agreed with her. I don't want to. But I also told her, I said, look, if something happens with DoorDash or something like, Uber Eats or whatever, I may have to go and drive. Or if all these people drop me because of my one ticket, I'm going to have to probably look into a medical courier. But right now, in my situation, in my scenario, how I'm doing DoorDash works for me. Now, do I wish I could make more money? Yeah. That may change. I may get, be antsy. Well, I need to up my game a little bit. So as of right now, I'm doing DoorDash as I see fit. Y'all do DoorDash as y'all see fit. But again, I really do appreciate the pointing out, because I have researched and I've seen how other people do it. But I encourage you to keep telling me these things, because there may be things, like I said, I've only been doing this for 2 months. So there may be things that y'all have seen or done that I've missed or haven't. So I appreciate you telling me these. So keep them coming. So anyhow, we're here at the vet to get our yearly checkup. So I appreciate you coming along with me for this short little video. Like I said, if you like this video, select like. And if you like my channel, please subscribe. And with that, we're at the vet and we're going to go inside. So I appreciate it. We'll see you later.